How poor these two women were, they quietly picked up from behind the grain particles scattered from the cart ahead, simply because their family had suffered from floods this year. All the potatoes planted in the fields had rotted, making it difficult to even maintain basic living. As the eldest son, Patchy stared blankly at the ferry heading to Australia across the sea, and a bold idea began to form in his mind. Later, as the family returned from the fields, they happened upon a wealthy merchant whose carriage had gotten stuck in a ditch. The merchant actively requested help, but after both parties introduced themselves, they discovered the merchant was English while Patchy's father was Irish. The relationship between the two regions was already tense, with English soldiers forcibly collecting rent nearby, so Patchy's father was unwilling to lend a helping hand. However, the merchant wanted to offer money as payment.
It'd be worth a shilling.
We don't want your shilling.
I have a crown. Patsy?
After a brief hesitation, the merchant agreed to Patchy's request for half a crown. The father's face was full of worry. Even though his own family couldn't afford food, he was unwilling to earn money from an Englishman. But Patchy didn't think so. A little labor could earn half a crown, which was enough for the family to live on for a while. Why not take advantage of such a good opportunity? With Patchy's efforts, the carriage successfully escaped its predicament.
Hold you your ground.
After Patchy awkwardly got up from the water pool, according to their previous agreement, the merchant should pay the reward. But a merchant is a merchant, hard to keep promises.
Well done. But,
I'm afraid I don't have a half crown about me. So this will have to suffice.
Half a crown became a guinea. Although it wasn't the originally agreed amount, it was, after all, a sovereign coin. Patchy didn't press further. After the merchant left, when Patchy was about to give the coin to his father remained rigid in his attitude.
Have you no pride? It's a sovereign.
His father never accepted charity. He snatched the coin from his son's hand and threw it into the water pool. This made it hard for Patchy to tolerate his father's selfishness. He had to personally retrieve what he had earned through his own efforts. So he went to the water pool, groping around, and finally found that coin. This coin would change their lives.
Let's take us to Australia.
The four came to an even poorer farming household, planning to buy their sow with 1 guinea. Although this pig was their only wealth, considering that converting it to cash could solve many problems, they could only reluctantly sell it. So on the way home, the 4 siblings began to imagine eating pork for a whole week. But as the eldest brother, Patchy didn't think so. He wanted to raise the sow bigger, then sell it for a better price. That way, they could realize their dream of immigrating to Australia. As time passed, when they worked in the fields, even if they found edible potatoes, they didn't want to eat them easily. They saved everything for the sow at home. Although life was poor, the 4 siblings felt happy and looked forward to the sow growing up quickly. Half a year later, Patchy led the fattened sow and successfully sold it at the trading market. Looking at the distance between Ireland and Australia on the map, they felt for the first time that their dream was within reach. However, reality was completely different from imagination. Their father was still troubled about paying rent to the English, because although they lived in Ireland, the land here belonged to England and required annual rent payments. But this year's harvest was poor, and the rent was far from enough. He could only place his hopes on his son Sal, who knew Patchy had secretly sold the sow and stated that he had inquired at the immigration office. They only needed to pay £8 and the whole family could go to Australia. But his father didn't think so. His ancestors had lived here for generations.
You think I'd let the English drive us from this land, to roam the world like some wretched Jew man, and never know a home?
I want that pig, Patsy.
It's sold.
Hearing his son say he had sold the sow, his father flew into a rage and slapped him hard across the face.
Oh no, Patsy. You hand that money over to me now.
To calm her husband's angry emotions, his wife stepped forward and took off the only valuable ring she had, wanting to use it to offset the rent payment. But she was fiercely rejected by her husband. The scene was filled with a sense of sadness. No one could override the rights of the head of the household. So Patchy could only take a coin from his pocket and hand it to his father. But this was far from enough. When his father demanded he hand over everything, desperation showed in Patchy's eyes.
Dad, you just see sense. If you put your money with my money...
Give me all of it.
No!
Michael! Michael!
The conflict between father and son caused Patchy's grandmother's blood pressure to spike, bringing her to death's door. All the children could do was stay by her side and pray. On her deathbed, the old woman told Patchy a few words, hoping he would obey his father's arrangements and pay this year's rent to the English. After all, this land was their roots. To let his grandmother pass away in peace, Patchy could only agree. But unexpectedly, Patchy went directly to the immigration office. After the old grandmother was buried, it was also the last day to pay rent. But the British officials never waited for Patchy's family. They could only implement coercive measures. What will happen next? Click follow, and I'll continue the story in the next episode.